Hello, in this video we're going to look at texture maps and how to control the positions on the surfaces, what they are, and how we can modify them to take advantage of them. Now if you think about it, I've just rendered this, I've just taken in my renderer that picture of brass, that brass old, and I've dropped it on. Now I've actually done it as a stainless steel cast. When I was making my robot head, I put into the description that it was cast. And I followed that through with the appropriate render. Now, if you think about the casting process, it usually leaves the surface quite rough when it comes out of the mold. And in this case, it's got this kind of rough surface. Now, that's fine for 95% of the stuff that we do at school. We don't want to be, at National 5, we just have to dump this texture map on. But these are just pictures of a texture stretched across the surface. And what the computer does is quite clever. It stitches them together and tiles them to cover the surface in the best way it thinks it's possible. Now, with a material like that, that's fine. It looks nice and easy. But sometimes with wood, when the grains are running funny ways, you've got to be able to adapt them. Now, I've got that texture there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this texture. I'm going to make it into something of my own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that texture down here, so I have another copy of it. So when I'm working on it, I'm not going to disturb that texture. If I want to turn it back, I can always turn it back. I could go and select it again, but I'm going to duplicate it here, and it's going to not duplicate that. I've already done that. I meant to edit it there. Now, it has a colour. If you imagine it has a kind of grey colour to it at the minute, you can see it over here. It's selected that grey colour. So if I wanted that to be, I don't know, a green kind of cast, or an orange, or a yellow, or something a little bit different, I could select another colour, and it would make it into that. So if I drop that in now, it then becomes like it's quite interesting. It's almost like something you would imagine sort of anodized found in a mountain bike like that. But I don't want it to be green. I want it to be rusty, because my robot's been out looking for people for years. So again, National 5, that's fine. If I want to get a little bit further into it, I could open up the box at the bottom, and it gives me control over the actual texture map itself. So you can see there that at the minute that has the texture map of that is just green. It is that RGB number there. I also have a whole range of Pantones that I can choose from if I wanted a particular color. For, say, I was doing something for a client, and their Pantone was that one. I could select that, and that could be, I could bring that into the tractor, into the robot, whatever I want to bring it to. I don't know why I thought a tractor, so it shows I'm a farm boy at heart. Now, if we look at that, also next to it has a little drop down, and instead of a color, we can use an image. So if I want to use an image, I've created some. I've gone into the internet. I just went in. I typed in Rust, and I selected that and saved it into a file. That's all I've done. Now I can select my Rust one and open it up, and it brings it in, and automatically it updates the little icon. And because I had it selected, it actually brought in that Rust texture into there like that. I just apply it and cancel it, and that gives me this kind of nice rusty surface. Now, other things I can do when I'm in there to edit it. It has a bump map. So the bump map, while that looks rough, if you look at the edge, it's actually very smooth. That texture of that bumpiness, or that relief pattern, as they call it here, or the bump map, as we would call it, that isn't really creating any texture on the surface. It's still smooth. Now, generally, a lot of the time, we wouldn't want it to be rough, because if it was rough, it would take more time to process it, because of the individual polygons would all go in. And, that's fine if you're rendering something like, I don't know, some kind of animated movie for Pixar. But for us, we want to keep it nice and simple. But again, that texture map can be edited like everything else. It's just an image like that, and we can make it bumpier, or we can make it smoother. We can change the rotation of it. We can say that we want it to be sitting the other way, which might be quite good for wood. If we look there, we can see the size of it. So if we want to, we can make it bigger, smaller, make it less bumpy, I suppose, so it looks less sort of distressed. We can choose the tile. Now, if we don't have any tile, we can see that, you know, it's kind of doesn't really show up very well on that one. But what it's doing is it's tiling it like a series of tiles over the surface to cover the surface. Let's see if we make a difference to that. No, it doesn't make much difference to that either. But trust me, in some it does. So that's how we can control the bumpiness of it within the bump map. And we can add different textures onto it like that. So what I would like you to do is I'd like you to go and I'd like you to just take some time, render your head, and try and bring some textures in from the internet and see if you can add some, control the bump maps, turn them around. Oh, one other thing I should say before I do anything else. If I do want to change the direction of the bump map, if I right click on it, or the texture map, sorry, I can go into the texture map controls and it brings me up this selector box and I can select it like that. And what it's wanting me to do is wanting me to either, it gives me options. Obviously at the minute it's automatic, the computer tries to do the thinking for you, but you can take over that and you can do your own thinking if you really want to. I suppose this instance, and I can alter the position of, I can slide that around on the surface until I'm happy with it, and I can also make it bigger, smaller. I can drag it around on that surface. Now you can see it looks a bit funny there, so I think automatic was probably the best in this case, but have a little play around with them on the surfaces and I'll get back to you next time. Thanks.